Hello everyone, it's TrailTrekBeck. Welcome back to my next trail that I'm trekking out in Kootenay National Park. We're still in BC on the Canadian side of the Rockies. And today I'm doing a trail called Floe Lake. Now, if you've been to Kootenay National Park, then you know how famous this trail is. It gets super busy. You saw part of the parking lot on my way in, but I got here, it's about 6:30 or 7 a.m., roughly around that time I got here, and the parking lot was full. I think I got the second last spot that was available. Now, the reason why people get here super early is because you're going to need to set aside 8 to 10 hours to do this hike. Yeah, it's going to take you the entire day, and you need as much daylight as you can to do this trail. And also, once you get to the end of it, you're going to want to stay and relax and enjoy the glacier lake that we're hiking up to, which is called Floe Lake. So this trail is very long, and because it is an in and out trail, you have to go all the way there to see the lake and then all the way back. So that's why I suggest allotting extra time so you can take a break and sit up at the lake, even go for a dive, which I'm going to do, and eat some food before you make the whole trek back. So you definitely need that time. And this trail, it gets pretty hard. Near the end of the trail, the last 3 kilometers, it gets very steep, because right now we're hiking through the mountains, and the last little bit we're actually hiking up into the mountains to get to that glacier lake that's nestled amongst the tops of the mountains. So right now we're kind of trekking alongside the mountains. We go up and down the sides of them a little bit, but then at the very end you're going to see how we very quickly ascend up the mountains into the peak there and get to see Floe Lake. So this is our first bridge we're crossing. You can see in front of me that we've got a stream here. It is glacier fed, of course. We are out in the middle of the Rockies. Speaking of which, this is very exciting for me. I will preface this that I was really hesitant to do this trail because I've never done a backcountry trail like this before, especially out in the Canadian Rockies. So I was super nervous. I read a lot of reviews with people saying it's a very hard trail to do, but it's very rewarding. So I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. I have to do this. I can't go to Kootenay National Park and not do Floe Lake. It is like the spot in the Rockies to do. So here I am, and you're going to hear me panting a lot, and I'm going to be out of breath, but I'm going to make it work. So I just said there that we're 1.7 kilometers in. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, I had mentioned it on the GoPro footage, but with my narration you couldn't hear me. When I got to the first bridge, we were about 1 kilometer in. Now we're at the second bridge, close to 2 kilometers in. So you can see with this trail, it's just taking me further and further out into the back country. We're not on one of those trails that's going to loop around a canyon or take us down a lake and back to the main road. This is taking us deep out into the Rockies. It's very back country here. 2.5 kilometers. Ooh, that was steep. Oh. Yeah, so coming off of those 2 bridges, we were starting to do our incline up the mountain, so there was some steepness there. You heard me say we're 2.5 kilometers in now. 3.2 kilometers in. There it is, 3.2 kilometers now. It is a long trail, so I'm making some cuts to get us through it. So 5.4 kilometers in. 5.4 kilometers in. So you can definitely see some destruction here in the area from the 2003 wildfires that happened. But there is a lot of new vegetation as well, so that's really great to see. And I just said there that we're 6.3 kilometers in now. So we're more than halfway to Floe Lake, which is a little glacier, not little, it's quite large. It's a lake that's nestled up in the mountains. It's a glacier lake. And it's absolutely stunning. I can't wait to show you. So you've probably noticed the group of girls in front of me. They're very, very lovely people. And I've been super fortunate to do this hike with them. But when I get out the GoPro, just to give them a bit of their privacy, I let them get a little bit in front of me, and then I do some filming. That way, you know, if they're having a conversation, I'm not recording it by accident. Okay, 6.8 kilometers in. There we go. Another 200 meters, and it's going to start to get very, very difficult going up to Floe Lake. So you heard me there saying we're 6.8 kilometers in. It's going to start to get much more difficult. The last 3 kilometers of this hike up to the lake are going to be very, very steep. Okay, 7 kilometers in. There it is. 7K in. Yeah, so those ladies above me, in front of me, super lovely people. I end up catching up to them as soon as I turn off the GoPro, and then I give them some space when I turn it back on. But they've been so awesome to do this hike with. And I'm actually so grateful for them because this is a very popular area for bears. And it's nice to be in a group because you're obviously more safe in larger numbers, and the bears are going to hear your voices traveling as you're walking and talking. So that also just kind of creates a safety barrier for you as well. So I've been very fortunate to have their company. So this is a nice little area. Before it starts to get really, really steep, that last 3 kilometer hike up to the lake, the ladies and I here, we actually stopped for a little bit. I think we sat here maybe 10 minutes. We got some water, we got some food, we chatted for a little bit, talked about where we're all from, and so that was kind of nice. And we just had a little break here because it's been very steep. It's been a very challenging hike for me so far. So I really needed that little break. This is most definitely the hardest hike I've done so far. Oh, I had to show this part of the footage. I considered cutting it out, but it was just so cute. She's taking a selfie with the adorable dog. This man up here is just so sweet and kind. He's letting us pet his dog. So cute. Look how cute that dog is. You know, it's funny. I had a dog who loved hiking with me. His name was Sparky, and I took him on so many trails with me, and he had the time of his life. I mean, he's no longer with me now, but I have lots of great memories of hiking with him. And when I saw this guy's dog, this is before my dog had passed. 8.3 kilometers in. And there you go, 8.3 kilometers in. But yeah, this was before my dog had passed. And so I saw the footage when I was coming back to edit it. I was like, oh, I'm keeping the footage of the dog in there because who doesn't love seeing dogs? A little morale booster, especially I needed that because I'm dying. I'm sweating. I'm panting. I'm just letting some people pass here. They're very kind and polite. So it's a super busy area, right? So some of these people you see coming down from Floe Lake is because you can camp up at Floe Lake. There's a huge campground. It's really lovely. It's really well established. It's really user friendly. And that makes it such a popular place to come here and not only just backpack and hike and camp, but to really, really enjoy, one, the lake, the scenery, and just being out in the back country. That's the whole purpose of this hike, is to really get a feel and a taste and the experience of backcountry hiking. And this is my first experience doing this, and wow, look at that view. Just incredible, right? Like, what can I say? Look, the lady in front of me has got her phone out too. She's got the right idea. So I stopped, give them some space to get ahead and get some more views. So that river there is the one that's rushing through under the bridges that we had crossed to get up here. 8.7 in. There you have it. Through all the panting, I'm 8.7 kilometers in now. And this is starting to get very steep. So you saw that we went through the mountains, we crossed the lake there, the stream, and now we're getting up into a more forested area because we're getting to the top of the mountain now. So this is a very steep incline. It's not a gradual incline. 9 kilometers in. Yeah, so we're 9 kilometers in. We're almost at the top. We got just under 2 kilometers left to do. But it's tough. Like this is very, very challenging. I'm panting a lot. I've stopped a few times to get water because there is no overcast today. Oh my gosh. This last stretch is brutal. So I've stopped a few times just to catch my breath, get some water. Sometimes I have to stretch a little bit. It is August, the end of August, so it's really warm. It's really beautiful. As you can see, all the vegetation is so lush and vibrant. You can see the wildflowers. They're starting to regrow in the area, so that's always a really good sign. The new vegetation, the new growth, it's making a rehabilitation in the area, so that's very good. All right, 9.3 kilometers in, about 700 meters till we get to the lake. Woo. There you go. We're almost there. They keep stopping to eat wild berries. It's so funny. Wild raspberries. Woo! I had some. Look at those views. 9.6 kilometers in. Almost at the top. There you go. Very steep along here. 9.6 kilometers in. I was dying. I was dying during this. I would just shut the GoPro off, catch my breath, and then start filming again. But I was struggling. It was steep. It's challenging. 9.9 kilometers in. Whew. 100 meters from the lake. Just look at that, though. It's been very steep. Oh my goodness. So far back into the mountains. This is the furthest back I've gone into the Rocky Mountains on any trail. Usually I do a trail that takes me up a mountain and down a mountain or to a lake and back or around and loops. This is actually all the way back into backcountry Rockies, and then so it's in and out, right? So I got to go all the way there and then all the way back on the same trail. But this is a trail I've never done before. Nothing like this. I've never done anything like this before. So it's been challenging, but man, it's it's been rewarding, that's for sure. So you've seen as I've been walking, we've actually passed a lot of people. And when I get up to Floe Lake, that beautiful glacier lake that's nestled on the top of these mountains, you're going to see that campground area. There's probably going to be a lot of other people there too. And that's because Floe Lake is also part of another really famous long trail in the Canadian Rockies. And that's called the Rockwall Trail. That trail is 54 kilometers long. And it can take 3 to 5 days to hike, camp, and backpack. So it's quite the trail. I do want to do it. And that's actually what attracted me to Floe Lake as well, is because I knew Floe Lake was part of the rock wall. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to hike the whole rock wall, but I'm just not ready for that just yet. But I will get there. $10.7K in. Should be at the top any minute. There you go, 10.7K in. We are getting very, very close to Floe Lake. The steepness is still going upwards. It's still very steep and challenging, but I know once we get up there, it's going to level out a little bit. And there it is. Speaking of leveling out, here it is. So I've reached over that edge, got onto the summit of the mountain, and what I'm doing from here is heading towards Floe Lake. So you can see the mountains off in the distance because Floe Lake right there, you can see in the left, it's nestled in the top of these mountains here. This nice, beautiful glacier lake. Because you go to other lakes like Lake Louise or Moraine Lake or Emerald Lake, and they're all at the bottom of the mountains. They're at the base of it, right? With this lake, with Floe Lake, I've actually had to hike out and up to get to this lake. It wasn't nestled at the bottom. So this was quite the trek to get here. So you can see there's a campground area here. I'm going to come back up later and show more of it, but for now I just want to get down to the lake. You can see the girls there are still in front of me. I know they're excited to go for a swim, as am I. I'm going to need to cool off. Oh my gosh. I'm sweating. Like, I remember this. I was panting and sweating and I did not have enough water. I mean, I did, but I could have used like 50 gallons more. I'm just kind of giving them their chance to go in and get their photos, take their pictures, and then I'm going to walk in and do the big reveal. But you can kind of see it there behind the trees. I'm trying not to reveal too much until I can get you a nice, beautiful view. So I'm just waiting for my opportune moment. And here it is. Da-da-da. Look at that. Oh my God, even just seeing it again. It is a little smoky today. There have been some fires in the area, not very specifically close to me, but of course it's windy, right? And it's blowing some of the smoke over. So Floe Lake today is not as clear as it could be on other days, but it is just so absolutely gorgeous and it's so rewarding. After that long hike, like 10.7 kilometers, man, this is just so worth it. I was so afraid to do this hike because I knew it was going to be so challenging. I knew I had never done backcountry like this before, and I was so nervous about doing it. And I was just so fortunate to meet up with that group of girls who kind of eased my nerves, and they talked to me, and it was nice to have them around. And they've actually all done, I think one of them has done this a couple times and camped here, and the other two I think have been here once or twice before, so they're pretty familiar with the area. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is my first time here, and this is at least their second time back. And I was like, wow. So we had so much to talk about. It was very cool. But anyway, so you can see just, oh my gosh, just how gorgeous this is. The girls are there in the back. I'm just giving them their space, letting you take in all the scenes here. There's my backpack. I had to take it off. I was dying. So up there is the camping area amongst the trees. These are the giant mountains. So I'm just going to take you along the coast here. Let you just soak up this view. Look how calm and beautiful that water is. It's stunning. I mean, I'm all about water. I love water. It's one of my favorite parts of nature. So every time there's a trail that leads to a lake or up in the mountains to a glacier pond like this, I'm all for it. So there is a little trail here. I kind of just stumbled upon this, but I wasn't actually expecting it. But it just looks like a lot of people have used this because they're going out further down the lake to either find a spot to camp or sit on the rocks and take in the view. But yeah, look at that. So I'm just giving you a couple of pans here, just to really let you see everything, soak it all in. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to get back up into the campground area, which is this. I just came right up that little hill that I had initially walked down, and I just wanted to show you the area. There were a couple of people that had tents set up that they were in the process of taking them down. So I didn't want to film at that point. I wanted to give them their privacy. It is very windy, so they had, they were in a rush to get their tents down. I felt kind of bad bringing the camera out, so I just wanted to wait and give them their privacy. But that's the cute little camp area. That's the picnic area right behind me. There's a couple of spots there that people had tents set up. It's really well established. It's so user friendly. And it's such a popular area. When I came up here, because I've been up here for quite a while actually, and when I came up here, there was tons of people sitting at these benches eating. There was a bunch of people, their tents that they were trying to tear down. They're done for the day. They camped overnight. It's windy. It's a good time to take the tents down and hike out, right? So, and if you're doing the Rockwell Trail too, Floe Lake, I guess depending on where you start, but Floe Lake is either the very first place that you camp or the very last place that you camp. So a lot of these people are probably finishing their 3 to 5 day journey on the rock wall and just packing up and heading out. You see here we got some people just chilling on the stones. This is the other side of Floe Lake. At this point, I'm trying to get some good views of the area, but I'm also scoping out an area where I can find some privacy to go for a dip in the lake. Because when I come to a lake, I can't help it. I always have to go in. I think the only lake I didn't go into, and I really regret it, is Lake Louise. I didn't go into it because it was so busy. So what I went onto the back of it, which there was a lot of sand, and so it kind of created like a nice little walkway out into the lake. So I was able to do that, but I didn't go for a dip in the lake. So I'm sad about that. But even Moraine Lake, I went there and I didn't go for a dip, but I did go in it, like, just kind of putting your feet in. But yeah, I regret not going into Lake Louise. But Lake Louise is super accessible, super easy to get to, right? So that's always another trip back. Why not? I would definitely go back to Lake Louise. But right now, look at us. Floe Lake. Gorgeous. Okay, and as promised, here is proof of me going into the Glacier Lake. I couldn't stay in for too long because it was so cold. I could barely breathe. As soon as that water hit my chest, it was really hard to breathe, but it was so worth it. I cooled off completely and then laid on the rocks and dried off and then ate my lunch. It was absolutely amazing. So as always, thank you for joining me on my journey here. This was my first time doing a backcountry hike. It was so challenging but so rewarding. I absolutely loved every moment of it. I really recommend it, but please, if you're going to do this, make sure you are bringing lots of water and you have great footwear, comfortable footwear. So as I show you some of the pictures I took, I hope you like the pictures. It's a little smoky from the wildfires that have been blowing in, but I hope you can still enjoy the pictures. And I'm going to leave you with some stats today. So the trail Floe Lake is an in and out trail. It's 10.7 kilometers long. I did a total of 23.6 kilometers, but that's only because I went up and down the side of the lake a little bit and I explored the area. I kind of went off trail a bit just to kind of get some views with the GoPro. Now my total elevation gain was 1,970 meters high. So it is quite high and it does get super steep. My moving time was 6 hours and 3 minutes, but my total time here was 6 hours and 27 minutes. And that's because I sat up here for about a half hour, a little bit more, or a little bit less, sorry, just to kind of take a break. I went for a dip in the lake and I got some food in my system, some more water before I did the trek back out. So a lot of people say a lot, like 8 to 10 hours. I did it a lot faster than I thought I would. It was just over 6 hours, but definitely make sure you're allotting this trail for one day because it is going to take a long time and you're going to want to sit up at Floe Lake and enjoy the beautiful views. So having said that, I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for joining me on my first time doing a backcountry hike. And as always, keep trekking.